Hey friends, welcome to 2025 and welcome back to Heartscapes, where we are learning the system of Reiki to live lives that are rooted, spacious, connected, that help provision us for the journeys home to ourselves. My name is Michaela. Welcome back to the studio. I'm just popping on here a little pre-message before the video that you're about to see, just to give you some context. This was a video I recorded today, New Year's Day, January 1st, 2025, that ran through a Three Diamonds meditation, a meditation that comes from the Japanese origins of the system of Reiki, but a pretty extensive Three Diamonds meditation with our attention on the turning of the year and on the energy of winter, of really being with the energy of that, and some context setting before that. So I'm going to stop talking and just get you right on into that meditation. I recorded it on Zoom with a small group of folks, so there'll be a little bit of interaction with the folks who joined me live. And thank you for joining me here on the recording. I hope this practice serves you and nourishes you, and that it's something you can take into your day and into your new year. I hope you enjoy it. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And if you want to stay with me for a new year of teaching about the system of Reiki from its Japanese origins and what that has to do with our daily lives right here, right now, it actually has quite a bit to do with our daily lives right here and right now, then I invite you to subscribe to the channel, help stay connected, help to expand the reach of this channel and of these teachings. So go ahead and make sure you're subscribed, make sure you like this video, share it with someone else who needs these practices in their life. And now, without further ado, let's get on into it. All right, friends, welcome to this New Year's Day Reiki practice session. I'm really glad that all of you have joined. Those of you who are here live after some Facebook Live shenanigans that didn't work, we are here on Zoom. And for those of you watching the recording, welcome. Thank you for joining us in recorded form. Glad to have you with me. So what I wanted us to do was do a practice that comes from the Japanese origins of the system of Reiki, and to context that, to orient that practice towards this experience of turning into this new year. Of course, today is the first day of January. In our current culture, this is the first day of the new year. Not every culture across time has considered this the new year. In fact, it's been more common historically for the springtime, the spring equinox, to be the beginning of the year. But in our culture, we call this the new year. And so there's this energy of turning over into the new, releasing what has come before, and looking towards what is coming to us. And it's an interesting thing to be doing that in the smack dab in the middle of winter. Not quite the middle, but in the winter time, in this season of winter. It's one of these things that in my mind and like in my body has always felt somewhat incongruous. And I wanted to start there and to kind of talk about that as a little bit of context for the practice that we're going to do. So bear with me, the little bit of context setting, a little bit of teaching. I'm always a teacher at heart, so I always have to begin there. But this incongruity between the energy of the new, of starting the new year, which, comes with a lot of making resolutions, making plans, hit the ground running, let's jump into action, let's grab this new year by the horns and jump on in. That energy versus the actual physical embodied energy out in the world of wintertime in the Northern Hemisphere. If any of you are joining from Australia, you are probably having a different experience of that. And I would be curious what your experience of it is going into summertime at the new year. But here, it's winter. And so the energy of winter is very different from that. It's very still, it's very restful, it's very reflective. It's very much about composting, right? So the piece of like letting the previous year go, very much winter's work, right? This is the time of soil building. It's the time when the things that have died are being broken back down into their elements so that it can be reused in the spring as the new life moving forward. And so, physically, that's what's happening in the world, and energetically, that's happening in our bodies. And our bodies just instinctively know that this is a time of slowing down, of resting, of reflection. of breaking down, of letting go. It's a time, it's a really good time to do grief work. And I do a lot of grief work in this time. We have a really beautiful class coming up in a couple of weeks around processing grief. So there's this energy of all of that that then meets this New Year's energy of go, 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 let's make the new year happen. And there's this conflict that we can feel. And I see that conflict show up in people in a lot of ways, and in myself in a lot of ways. This like tension, right? And I think, we see that partly in the fact that New Year's resolutions can be so hard to keep, because we start with all of this, intention and action when we're actually in a season of stillness and rest. So what do we do with that, right? How do we still harness that energy of meeting the new year, which is important, and honor the season that we're in? And one thing that I want to really make clear from my own experience and in working in these ways for decades now is that we make our lives tremendously easier. It becomes easier to live our lives when we align our actions and our thoughts and our systems and structures and our processes and our habits and our traditions with the season, with the seasonal cycles. It becomes easier because we're not fighting against what the world is up to all around us, right? And so one of the things that's so beautiful about the system of Reiki, especially when we practice it from the perspective of its indigenous origins, Reiki comes out of Japan, out of Japanese Buddhist and indigenous Shinto origins. And Shinto is a nature-based indigenous practice that has many similarities to indigenous practices all over the world, of course, with its very particular Japaneseness to it. But it becomes easier when we remember that we all have indigeneity in us. We all, if we go back far enough in our lineages, come from people who were intimately tied with the cycles of nature and understood ourselves to be nature, right? To not be something different than nature, but to be nature, to be part of that cycle, and to operate inside of the structure of the world instead of trying to fight against it. And there are certain spiritual traditions and spiritual language that I hear in certain spaces that kind of tells a different story, that invites us to kind of step outside of nature, right? Even certain perspectives within Christianity, focuses on removing ourselves from the world, right? On going to a different place, on the goal is to get out of this cycle of being in the world and to go somewhere else. And I'm not here to criticize that thought process, but to say that doesn't work for me. What works for me is to really root myself in the world and to look to traditions, both in my own lineage, which goes through Celtic lines, and in other lineages, such as the lineages that Reiki comes through, for guidance on how to do that. So that's the context. I'm going to invite all of us to step into a mindset of indigeneity and to remember that all of us come from people who intimately understood the world, the earth, the cycles of how this earth sustains itself and how we fit into that sustenance. And that so many spiritual traditions give us guidance for how to do that and how to bring in the unseen, how to bring in the mystery, how to bring in all of these different aspects of life into that alignment with the natural order of things. So that's part of what we're up to with this practice. So let me talk about the practice that we're in. So the Three Diamonds practice comes through the Shinto roots of the system of Reiki. And it's an acknowledgement of the way in which our body, our sovereign space, this earth that we are in charge of, this one body that we each have, how there's a symmetry between the way that our body is put together and the way that the natural world is put together. In fact, there's many symmetries, many symmetries between any individual unit of nature, whether it's a flower or a mushroom or a tree or a cloud or a person. There are many repeated forms because nature is very efficient and repeats forms over and over again. So the Three Diamonds practice comes through the origin stories of the Shinto mythologies that notices this symmetry between the human body and the natural world. And that symmetry is that we have a lower part of our body. We have in this case, focusing on the belly, sometimes also focusing on the feet. So we have a ground, and then we have a space. We have this upper region, the head, and in between we have a connected region, which is our heart. And the world has the ground beneath our feet, the earth. It has space up above us, so the sky itself, clouds, all of the forms of the above places, space itself beyond our atmosphere, and then spiritually we can think of heaven or, energy or, things that are beyond the physical earth. And that's represented by our heads. And then there's this place of connection in between, right? That those two are not separate and distinct, like unconnected regions, that there is connection between earth and space, and there's connection between our gut and our head, and that's our heart. So those are the three diamonds. The gut, which is connected to the earth, which is connected to our physical bodies, with the energy of focusing, the energy of resourcing, of safety, of strong foundation, and the energy of composting, of processing the physical matter of the world. Literally, our gut does that work. And emotionally, right? Processing emotions, processing trauma, processing thoughts, processing our experiences, right? Processing all of that, making that energy available again in other forms, and being resourced, right? So being deeply nourished and resourced by the earth. So the first diamond is our gut. The second diamond is our head. It's the territory of the mind, the territory of spaciousness, of possibility, of vision, imagination, of course, thoughts, and literal physical space. So the above places, right, that we can perceive. And the spaciousness of our mind when it is open, when it's unattached, when it's free, right? Now, in our society, we have an epidemic of anxiety, a mind that's like can't open and expand. It's spinning and looping and dwelling and falling, and doesn't have enough resources, doesn't have enough sense of stability and security and nourishment to really be open and free. All right, so working with the balance between these two places is really valuable in our society. A grounded mind is a mind that can become spacious. And then when those two places are in balance, when they come into harmony with each other, then we come into the third diamond, which is the heart. And that's our territory of courageous, compassionate connection. The place where we can really feel our oneness with life, that we are, in fact, yes, a distinct body, a person with my own life, my own way, my own path. And I'm also one expression of a wider web of life. And that expression includes compassion, it includes courage, and it includes connection. So the heart is the third diamond. And it's a dynamic system. Generally speaking, though, it's worked in that order. First diamond, second diamond, third diamond. But we can assess on any given day, where do I need to strengthen? Where do I need to focus my attention, right? Am I feeling spaced out? Am I feeling anxious? As a person with ADHD, I am often up in the clouds all over the place and often need to work my first diamond practices more strongly, more often. Am I feeling disconnected? Am I having a hard time emotionally connecting with folks? Am I feeling a lack of courage? Am I feeling a lack of compassion? Well, I might need to work more with the third diamond, strengthening that, etc. So all of that is to say, we're going to do a practice that works with all three in sequence, and with a focus on processing the past year, opening to the possibility of this current year, and resourcing our heart for moving through that. And I think that is quite enough talking on my part, at least in the context setting. I think it's time for us to practice. So we're going to begin by settling our bodies into a posture for practicing, which means finding a space of easeful alertness, finding yourself comfortable in the structures that are supporting your body, noticing if you need to make any adjustments, bring in more props like a pillow or something to make you feel more comfortable so you're not tensing. Right? We want to be able to be alert and open and upright, but not tense, not straining ourselves. So doing whatever that you need to do to come into that place of feeling well supported by the structures below you and well supported by your own body. Taking a couple of breaths into that support. And this is always a good moment to just notice if your body's asking for anything. The tiny little requests and needs that our body is often making that are so easy to ignore, to overlook, to move past, to not notice. Even the tiniest little adjustment can make a big difference in how well supported we feel. And that allows our body to relax into the support below and to let our bellies be soft. To let the muscles of your body relax and expand, to make more space for your breath to move in and down. And as our bellies soften, we invite the breath to come into this posture. And Marcy, I see your question. Are we holding Reiki energy? Yes, we are. And we're going to do this in a way that is specific, and that is through a practice that comes from the origins of this system. It begins with a practice called Joshin Kokyuho, a method to focus our mind, or a method to purify our mind through our breath. And so our breath comes into this posture, moving in and down, moving into our spacious belly. The body and the breath coming into alignment with each other. Our belly's expanding, making more space inside, taking up more space in the room, and gently relaxing with your exhale. And then we can bring our mind into this posture by resting your attention on the movement of your breath, of allowing the sensation of your inhale moving in and down to draw your attention inward, to draw your focus into your belly, and focus your attention in the center of your low belly, the first diamond, just below your belly button and deep in the center of your body. Following your breath in and down, coming into the nourishing darkness of your belly, this resourced and grounded place, this rooted place. Allowing yourself to be welcomed home into this place. And as you follow your breath in and down, come to focus your attention in your low belly. I invite you to sense or imagine that you find here a spark of light. Right in the center, just below your belly button, deep in the center of your body. first diamond, also known as the hara in Japanese. This energy center connected to your physical body, to the earth, to the energy of focusing and of resourcing, of rooting. And as you bring your attention here, you find this spark of light, sensing it in your body or imagining it in your mind. This spark of life that is you and is also your point on the web of life. And as you bring your attention to this spark, it grows brighter, bright, luminous, and clear. This pinprick of light in the center of your belly begins to expand in all directions. As you exhale, it continues to expand, filling you and surrounding you, filling your body and moving beyond the boundaries of your body into the space around you. Each breath, a gentle wave of light from your center outward. Let's practice that for a few rounds of breath together. And as we continue to breathe together in this way, each breath, a gentle wave of light from your center outward. This cleansing light passing through every cell in your body, expanding into the spaces around you, into the life around you. From this rooted home place, I invite you to call in the experiences and the gifts and the challenges and the lessons of this past year, 2024. And you don't need to make an itemized list. It's more about the feelings. Perhaps specific memories will come. But as you sit and breathe into your center, into this spark of light that expands to fill you and surround you, let's invite you to ask your system, your body, your mind, your heart, to call forward the material of this past year. And we're just going to take a few breaths with this, just allowing yourself to notice the thoughts, the feelings, perhaps specific situations, things you've learned, things you've grieved, things you've celebrated. Let's just take a moment to harvest, to scoop the cream that's risen to the surface of this past year. What has had heart and meaning for you in this past cycle of the year? Let's sit with that question for about 12 rounds of breath. to this deep and nourishing space, calling and noticing the fruits of this past year, the things that have come into being, the things that have died. Just honoring whatever form this comes to you in. Whatever thoughts, feelings, memories are present here in your deepest place. And then gathering up what we've noticed, knowing that there's so much more present beyond our awareness. We're going to invite that which came through this past year, that is here to nourish us into this next year. The things we've learned, gained, the things that we want to carry forward. I want to breathe those in. And the things that are ready to pass on, to compost, to go back into the system, we're going to breathe out into the earth. And you don't have to know what those specific things are. You don't have to make a checklist in your mind. Your body knows, your system knows, your heart knows. So for the next few rounds of breath, as you breathe in and down, you're going to invite your system to take in the nourishment of this past year, to take in the good, fertile nourishment that has come to you in so many ways, some of them hard-won. As you breathe in and down, draw that nourishment into your center and know that it is being absorbed. And as you breathe out, invite all that is ready to pass on, that is not to be taken into this next year, to be breathed out, to expand on that light and go back into the earth. As that light expands from your center out in all directions, it carries that which is ready to pass on back into the earth, where she will compost it, she'll bioremediate it, she knows exactly what to do with it. So breathing in the nourishment of this past year, breathing out that which is ready to pass on. Let's do that for a few rounds of breath. Breathing in nourishment, breathing out compost. Breathing in the learning, breathing out that which you no longer need to know. Breathing in the good, nourishing grief, breathing out stagnation and shame. Breathing in all that will serve you in this coming year. Breathing out all that is ready to release and to pass on. Let's take 3 more breaths. Knowing that this is a process that can be returned to again and again, that there may be more to do. We're going to move to the second diamond, this territory of spaciousness, of openness, of possibility, this place of visioning into the coming year, not yet taking action, staying with the restful energy of winter, but beginning to open our senses to it, opening our mind, our imagination to the possibility of this coming year. Possibility comes in many forms. Not all of them feel good. But we can open ourselves spaciously, resiliently, when we have a good, solid foundation under our feet, which is why we begin with the first diamond. And so, on our next round of breath, we're going to imagine that as we exhale, that spark of light moves. Rather than expanding in all directions, it's now going to move. It's going to come up the center of our body to the center of our head. And so we breathe in and down, drawing our attention to our belly, gathering this spark of light. And as we breathe out, it moves up, 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 center channel of our body and into the center of our head, the second diamond. And here, this spark of light will remain. And now as we breathe in, that spark of light from the center of our head begins to expand in all directions, shining brightly from the center of our second diamond, from the mind. Let's just fall into that pattern for a few rounds of breath. The same expansion of light, but this time from the center of our head rather than our belly. Joshin Kokyuho, a method to focus the mind. Let's do a few rounds of breath here. And as we breathe together in this way, the essence of our self, our true self, our spark of life, shining brightly from the center of our mind, expanding outward in all directions. I invite you to welcome in this coming year, this new year. You may already have feelings about the coming year. They may be complex. That's okay. Even from the perspective of uncertainty or concern, we can hold possibility and openness. And that is what working with our second diamond from a grounded place can help us with. And so as you breathe in, I invite you to welcome this new year. And as you breathe out, I invite you to open yourself to possibility. Now that might mean that you imagine looking out over a wide vista, a landscape with many paths, many places to explore and adventure. It might be more of a physical sensation of openness, of lightness. It might be questions that come to your mind. Allowing your own system to choose the path of possibility that works for you. You're going to breathe in this new year and breathe out a sense of spacious possibility. Let's follow that practice for a few rounds of breath. As we continue to breathe together in this way, breathing in the spark of light, breathing out as it expands, shining radiantly from the top of your body out in all directions like a beacon. I invite you to allow yourself to have your dreams present. What are you dreaming into for this year? Winter is the time of dreaming, of allowing those dreams to take form in the quiet places, in the dark places. What are you dreaming into this winter for the coming year? It can be very, very simple, very small, very particular. It can be more broad. What are you dreaming into for the coming year? Let's take 3 more breaths with this question. And as we continue to breathe into this spacious place, our dreams shining like a beacon, from a grounded, rooted place, our dreams can expand even into the uncertainty of a new year. Our dreams can take on resilience and flexibility when they are well rooted. This is what this practice can help us to feel in our bodies, that we have enough groundedness, enough rootedness to expand and become spacious even in the face of uncertainty, of difficulty. And of course, in the face of joy and celebration as well. And so from this place of harmony between rootedness and spaciousness, resources and dreams, we come into the 3rd diamond in the heart, the territory of courageous, compassionate connection, and the place of action. So on your next round of breath, as you breathe in, imagine that spark of light moving down from your head into your heart. And once again, as you breathe in, that spark grows brighter. As you breathe out, it expands in all directions, filling you from your heart center out, filling you, surrounding you. Let's breathe this way for 3 rounds of breath. The foundational precept of the system of Reiki says, just for today, I am compassionate with myself and with all others. And so it is from this center of compassion that we can move into this year, into the dreams of this time. It is with courage that we can take the next right step, that we can take the next right action. And so in this winter time, in this time of rest and restoration, of reflection, As we breathe into our heart, that light expanding from our heart outward in all directions, nourishing every cell of our body. I invite you to sit with the question, where am I being called to nourish my compassion in my life? Where do I need to cultivate my courage? Where do I feel connected in my life, and where do I not? Just sit with these inquiries, knowing that they are inquiries to sit with for longer than our time today, but to begin to stir in our heart these questions. Living within questions is good winter work. No need to take action yet, but being with the questions. Where do I feel and experience compassion, courage, and connection in my life, and where do I not? It's a vulnerable question, but we're well grounded and we're well spacious. So we can come to our heart and ask. Let's sit with 10 rounds of breath with these questions. And gathering up what we have noticed, knowing that there is more present that we can return to in another time. We're going to close with one of the most powerful forms of nourishment that we can give our nervous system and our heart and our mind. That is gratitude. The center point of the Reiki precepts is just for today, I am grateful. Gratitude, which brings us into this present moment and allows us to see this moment for exactly what it is. And when we feel genuine gratitude for anything, no matter how tiny a thing, it nourishes our system. It brings hormones into our bloodstream that helps us to feel greater sense of connection, of generosity, of belonging. And so I just invite you to bring 3 to 5 gratitudes to mind. 3 to 5 things that you feel genuine gratitude for, even if they're teeny tiny things. Let's just take a few breaths as you nourish yourself with these little gratitudes. Just noticing how it feels to take gratitude into your system. To carry it with you as you move from this place. I'm going to invite us to close by bringing our hands into Gaso, the prayer mudra, palms together at your heart. Gaso, meaning the coming together of opposites, a mudra of oneness, connection, and of gratitude and of completion. From this mudra, I invite you to set an intention for one thing that you can do today to help nourish something you've noticed in this meditation. Some small, very achievable thing that will help acknowledge what you've noticed, to nourish you, to care for yourself inside of whatever it is that you've noticed. So 3 more breaths to set an intention and to complete. And when you feel complete, you can come back into this space. Feeling your body well supported, the movement of the air on your skin. And when you feel ready, coming back into this space together. Welcome back. Friends, thank you for hanging with me through all of that tech challenges, context setting, practice. If there's anything you'd like to share, if you want to share an intention that you set or gratitude that you felt, this is a lovely space to do that. If you want to share anything else that came up for you, you are welcome to. And I thank you all for being with me. I will just share one of the gratitudes that came up. The strongest one was a long conversation my kiddo and I had last night as we were waiting for midnight. Just really got to talk about some stuff that was on her heart and that she felt ready to talk about. And it was a hard conversation, but it was really, really sweet and very good. Came right up as something I'm grateful for. Oh, you saw Mrs. Takata in your meditation, Marcy. Brought peace to your heart. Yeah, she's such a beautiful soul, so tenacious, so creative in how she sustained this practice for us. Your mantra for this new year is less hustle, more flow. Yes. Yes, I love it. I love it. Less hustle, more flow. That was beautiful. Thank you all. Thank you all. All right, friends. Go into this January the 1st with a sense of nourishment, of possibility. Be kind to yourself. Be slow and gentle as much as you can. Hug a cat if that's your thing. I'm going to go hug my cat. And thank you for being with me. I look forward to being with you again.